Welcome to the Author's Den, a place where we encourage reading and writing, a place where you can meet authors and book illustrators, a place to get your questions answered about writing, publishing, and promoting your book. Hello and welcome to the Author's Den. I'm your host, Mike Talley, and with me today is my guest, Frank Singer. Frank is a TV personality locally. He's hosts a couple shows for seniors, but he's also written a book called Help, I Woke Up a Senior Citizen and I Don't Know What to Do.
I still don't.
Well, Frank, before we talk about your book, let's find out a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get involved in television? And then we'll talk about your book.
Okay. Of course, I'm from New York. Originally, I worked for Lily Tulip Cup Company, a big disposable products company. I was a marketing manager. And then the company was bought out by Toledo, by Owens, Illinois, and they wanted to move everybody to Toledo, and I didn't want to go. So, but I did. I was offered a job here, and I took it. And a few years later, the company went bankrupt because they couldn't get resin. There was an oil embargo. So I did a couple of odd jobs, and then I had a stroke at age 65. And during my rehab, I heard that the city of Southfield was offering free TV courses. And that appealed to me because I liked the creative end of things. Mm-hmm. And so I got involved, and I did programming, and then Kathy Sherman asked if I would work for the access station over at Channel 18. I said I'd love to. I did some programs there, and then after a while, I was asked if I would do a senior program on the City Channel. I said I'd be delighted to. And so I did, and I've been at it ever since. So, in brief, I had a stroke at 65, a heart attack at 78, wrote a book at 79, and I just turned 88, and I'm still going strong, thank goodness.
I tell you, really admire you, Frank. I really do. You got a lot more energy than most people I know. And just for our audience, the name of your senior show now is called Focus on Seniors. Can you just give us a brief idea? What do you cover on that show?
On Focus on Seniors, I did news pieces. I interviewed people, some from medical associations, Area Agency on Aging. I did a lot of work with them. I did programs on travel. A lot of it was serious stuff, but we didn't ignore the fun stuff, because seniors like to get up and go.
Well, let's go to your book then. How did the book come about? Why did you write it?
Well, as I said, I was doing a lot of programs for seniors, and I thought that I ought to utilize that experience, put it together, because no matter how much you tell seniors about where they can go for help or counsel or reference or whatever, they'd forget about it. So I thought I'd put it into a book. Now, at that time, you couldn't get a hard book publisher who wanted to hear about seniors, especially from an unknown. So what was coming on strong then was online publishing.
Frank, let me stop you for a second. You know, I appreciate, we're going to talk about that publishing in a little bit, but let's talk more about what's the name of the book again and what's covered in the book.
The name of the book is Help, I Woke Up a Senior Citizen and Don't Know What to Do. It's basically a reference guide for seniors, and it's aimed at active seniors, sedentary seniors, baby boomers, children of seniors, the disabled, and any company that was involved in selling products and services to seniors.
What type of, what was the process of writing the book? Just from what you're saying, it sounds like there was a lot of research.
It was. In fact, the first book took me about a year to do because I was fussy about the layout and about writing it succinctly and making it look good, and I was constantly revising and changing until my son said, "Dad, forget about it. You got enough stuff in there, just go with it," which is what I did.
Now you said the first book. Talk about what's going on right now. Is there something else in the works?
Well, I'm in the process of revising it, and basically it's not that much different from the first because we've learned a lot. Where I had 20 pages in the back of names and numbers and phone numbers of organizations, I can eliminate that because now all I have to put down there is 3 sources of information, toll-free, government-sponsored, and you could find out anything you want anywhere in the country. For example, if you had a relative in Oshkosh and they were having problems, you could call the local community in that area and get some help and counsel there.
But I'm kind of curious, what are some of the concerns in your mind of seniors today, and do you address those in the book?
Well, of course, and being a senior, I've lived through their aches and pains, so I can empathize with them. But if you want to take a look at my book and look at the table of contents, you can see what I cover. I start off with Social Security, Medicare, supplemental insurance, hospice, travel, exercise and nutrition. One thing that people weren't aware of is that if you were disabled, you could still go on vacation because there were special organizations to accommodate you, special vehicles you can rent, and things of that sort.
Well, Frank, I know that you do a lot of speaking too. You're involved in a lot of the senior communities and things. What is on seniors' minds right now?
Well, right now the main thing is Medicare and the Prescription D program. When Lyndon Johnson first introduced Medicare back in '65, it was met with a lot of opposition. In fact, some people thought it wasn't even constitutional. But he got it through. And as Social Security was considered the financial safety net for seniors, Medicare was supposed to be the safety net for your medical care. But then President Bush brought in this new radical change in Medicare. And it was so confusing, so convoluted, so many pages, people couldn't make heads or tails of it. They had to train special people, they call them Medicare, Medicaid counselors, who would get together with seniors, go over their needs, their prescriptions, medications, whatever, and help them out and get them together. I get on the internet to try to refresh my memory with the basic tenets of that bill. The summary was 15 pages long. I couldn't believe it, but that's how convoluted it is, and it's very difficult for anybody, even today, to understand it, and that's going to be my biggest problem in the revision.
I understand prescriptions is also in the forefront right now, people's concerns.
Well, the part of that Medicare Act had a prescription program in it, which could be had through either your Medigap insurance, or it could be an independent insurer, or it could be a Medicare Advantage program. But the problem with that is, first of all, if it went through an insurer, they have a formulary which lists the drugs that they can have. They could change it at any time. They could raise the price, they could drop the price. So it was really a tough nut for seniors to handle. And this is one of the problems that the government has to resolve or get around. It's going to take years, but I can't begin to explain it. It's just too complicated. So what I do, and I'm going to do in that section, is just tell people it's a complicated issue. There are going to be a lot of changes. If you need to know what's current, look in your current Medicare handbook, or get on the internet and contact the government Medicare website, and you'll get your answers.
I've been hearing about a prescription card that the city's offering. Do you know anything about that?
It's really what the city has put out, a prescription card that you can use anywhere. It's not insurance. Anybody in the family can use it. And it offers discounts. But that's basically what it is. You might be able to do better elsewhere, but that's basically what the program is.
Is there anything that you're going to include in the revision that wasn't in
the
first book?
Oh yes, there are things that I definitely have to cover. That prescription program I've definitely got to cover. I want to do something on caregiving, which is a big problem today. And basically that's it. Otherwise the stuff is really relevant today, the stuff I've done, with some minor changes. But I want to include these other chapters that are now on people's minds. Alzheimer's, for example, is virtually an epidemic, and although I have it in the book, there have been a lot of advances made that I want to cover. A lot of illnesses I cover, make some changes, bring them up to date. But basically, it's not that different. In some ways, it's shorter and more succinct. In other ways, I'm adding things.
Well, let's reminisce for a minute. When did your first book come out?
It's hard to believe. It's almost 9 years old.
Can you remember some of your early book signings?
I remember the first one was not just a book signing. It was a presentation and a book signing. And I had with me Joyce Hunt, who's now retired. She was a former director of benefits and services for seniors at the Area Agency of Aging. She was my mentor. She knew more about senior problems than anyone I ever knew. In fact, other agencies used to come to her for advice. So we sat there and we went at it back and forth. If I had a question I couldn't answer, I'd turn it to her, and so on. It was held in the old Marquette room, the old library, and I don't remember how many people it held, 75 or 100. It was packed. They said it was the largest audience they ever had for a book signing. And I had brought with me 50 books, which I sold out immediately.
Great.
So that was great. The problem for me was that I couldn't afford to go out and promote. You had to promote your own stuff. I couldn't go out. I was on radio and TV locally. I went to senior places and had made presentations and book signings. But otherwise, I didn't have the time or the money to pursue it myself.
Let's back up then. So you did all this research on topics that were relevant to seniors. How did you get the book published?
As I said, through an online publisher. At that point, what was coming on with these online publishers who, with their technology, could produce 1 or 100 books for you. And you could order it through people like Amazon or Yahoo or bookstores. But they generally would not buy the books. They would take your orders and then ship it out. Or you could order it direct from the online publisher.
Did you have help in organizing or proofing or even the cover design?
They designed the cover for me, and they did a good job on that. But I did all the writing and proofreading. My wife was the researcher to double-check my sources and stuff. But otherwise, it was all up to me.
What do you hope people get from the book anyway?
Pardon?
What do you hope that seniors get from the book?
I hope they will have a reference at their fingertips. As I said, you could tell them 1,000 times if they called and asked they had a problem. and they'd forget about it. But here it is in written form. And so anytime they had a problem, they could pick up the book and find out where to go for counsel, reference, whatever.
Now, where can someone find the book?
Well, you could go online and order it direct from the publisher.
And who is that?
It's now called Author House.
Author House.
Author House. You could go to the bookstores, the Borders, Barnes & Noble, or Yahoo, or whatever, and order it through them, although you'd pay more. And they would send it out to you when they got it in from the publisher.
You know, I'm kind of curious, Frank. When you were younger, did you read a lot? Did you have someone that inspired you to read?
I always read. I was an avid reader. I read every James Bond book that ever came out. I love spy stories, especially. No, I'm always a good reader.
Was there someone that encouraged you at all?
No, I just was a good reader.
On your own, huh?
No, I love to read.
What's the most recent book that you read?
The first was, it's called The Last Ember. I think, what's the guy's name? Daniel Levin. Also in the vein of a James Bond thing, except this involves the Israelis and the Palestinians. And it's quite a suspenseful book.
Well, Frank, you covered so many topics in your book. Where did you get the information from?
Well, some people would ask me, is it factual? Is it conjecture? Is it opinion? No, it is the most reliable material you could find, because most of it, or probably all of it, comes from the government sources. It comes from medical associations. It comes from research companies. It comes from anyone who's involved with senior products and services. So it's authentic and it's authoritative. It's not guesswork.
Well, Frank, would you consider the book a success?
Financially, no. But as far as being a great reference guide for seniors, it was, because wherever I went and people were exposed to it, I sold it. As I told you, we sold out every book we had at this first book signing. And wherever I went, people would buy it. I found, I also, it was sent out to all the libraries, not the book itself, but mention of it. Went out to all the libraries, and a friend of mine who lives in San Diego calls me up one day. He says, "Hey, Frank, I got a couple of your books are in here." So
Good.
It was getting around. And as I said, I couldn't afford to go out and promote it myself, which is what you had to do. But I get comments from people all the time. Even the old version, which is 9 years old, people are still buying them through the publisher online. So I feel it's been successful, and that I've met a need for seniors, and they appreciate it.
Yes. Now, would you consider writing another book?
Well, I'm revising the old one, but I don't know what kind of a book I would write that didn't have to do with seniors. If you got any ideas, tell me about it. I don't know if I'll live long enough to even finish this one.
Well, I'm thinking I can see an 88-year-old spy.
Hey, how about that?
Well, Frank, I really appreciate you being with us today, and
Been my pleasure.
I hope people remember your book, Help, I Woke Up a Senior Citizen and Don't Know What to Do. Do you have any last words?
Well, yes, I would say that the secret to successful aging is to keep not only your mind busy, but your body busy. And socialize. Get out, meet with people. Don't sit on your hind legs at home and watch television. You'll go down fast. But keep active. Keep moving, keep going, and remember, life is just a journey. Have a great trip.
Frank, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate this. It's a pleasure knowing you, too. It really is.
My pleasure.